Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with Damion Oranday ahead of his fight against Eduardo Ianya. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah.
I'm doing good. And how has the training camp been for this upcoming fight?
Man, it's really good. This is probably one of my best camps yet. Uh, I took about my last fight was May, so
Yeah,
I've had quite a bit of time off to kind of let the body heal and then just reset for this camp. So going into this one, I feel really healthy and good for it.
exactly. And in your last fight, unfortunately, you weren't able to get the victory, getting stopped in the first round. Was there any part of that? Do you feel like it was nerves because it was your pro debut?
Uh, Honestly, no, I don't think the fighting whatever division, like pro amateur, for me, it doesn't really matter. Like that pressure didn't get to me. Just because I've been competing as an athlete for so long. I've been doing
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu 15 years, competed at the highest level of jiu-jitsu. So for me, the amateur versus professional wasn't all that big of a change.
Yeah, exactly. And before making your pro debut, you did have quite a few grappling matches as well. How did they help develop your ground game?
Oh man, yeah, that's like uh, ground is my bread and butter. Like I said, I've been doing jiu-jitsu 15 years, a black belt under a Hall of Fame jiu-jitsu athlete, Lucas Lepre. So for me, the jiu-jitsu is, I would say, my A game. It's striking's getting better now, but jiu-jitsu will always probably be my bread and butter.
Exactly. And with this being the Challenger Series, is that if you do well, you get the contract for the Fury FC Pro, the actual events?
I don't know how the Challenger Series works out honestly because like I already have a contract with Fury. I have a 4 fight contract with
Yeah,
them, so uh, this doesn't change like my contracts with them.
exactly. And does this count towards one of those fights, or is this a separate contract?
Yes, no, it counts towards the 4 fights I already have.
And how did it feel like, obviously with Fury, they are a big name in Texas, and that is where you're fighting out of. How much easier does that make the preparation?
I think it drives me knowing it's the number one feeder. For the UFC right now, they're constantly pumping fighters into the UFC, so
Yeah,
uh, makes me hungry. Honestly, I want to know it's my best performance every time I step in the cage over there. I'm going to give my best effort in the preparation, the diet, just all around. I'm going to give out my best, knowing it's for Fury.
exactly. And like you're saying, they are a massive feeder into the UFC. I think
Yeah,
it was this contender series, around 12 fighters at least, that got the
yeah,
shot to fight in the contender series. Do you feel like that, as well as being on the Fight Pass, was one of the main reasons for choosing Fury?
most definitely. I've known Eric Garcia for I think more than 10 years. I debuted with him in my amateur debut at 17. In 2014 with him when he was still a small promotion. It was Cage Combat at the time.
Yeah.
So one, having a relationship with him, since 2014, and then also the opportunity to go to the UFC and be on Fight Pass and all those factors as well. Of course, play a factor.
And do you feel like another drawing point for Fury, like you're saying, Eric Garcia? Because anyone I've spoken to in Fury just have great things to say about him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've never had issues with him. He's very professional. Nothing but great things from him. He runs a great promotion for MMA and jiu-jitsu. So I've worked with him for many years since that debut for jiu-jitsu specific events as well.
And they never even like do a matchup which isn't similar in strengths. They're always a similar strength of opposition. And I feel like that's another reason why Fury does get the hype around it.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's no easy fights in Fury. There's not an offset of level of like here and here. It's always gonna be competitive. It's always gonna be a tough fight. So it's fair. That's another strong point they have. It's fair fights. They're not trying to build up and set guys up. It's fight your way to the top.
Exactly. And obviously with this fight being in November, when are you wanting to get back into the cage in 2025?
Uh personally, I like to stay active. So, all goes well, no major injuries or bangs and bruises. I'm gonna stay training through the holidays and be looking to fight January, February of next year as well.
Exactly. And is there anyone that you are wanting to fight, or are you just going to wait and see what name gets thrown at you?
For me, it's just whoever's standing in front of me, whoever they line me up. I've told my coach that. I told him he lines him up and I'll knock him down. Doesn't matter who it is, whether they're well name, big name athlete or just another person standing in front of me.
Exactly. And what was it after that fight against Rafael Garcia that made you go, now is the right time to go turn pro?
For me, fighting the amateurs was about getting experience. I knew that I needed that cage time. The belt was really cool to have. That was a goal, of course. It was a small goal inside the big goal. The big goal is
Yeah.
to fight competitively in the UFC. So I knew there's milestones to make. We talked about moving up to 155 amateur, but already I'm 27 years old. I'm ready to start getting deeper waters. So after that fight and earning the belt, after the Rafael fight, it was time to go pro.
And how much do you value having those small goals hit, having each of those small milestones to reach?
It's super important, man. You have to have, if you have a really big goal like say the UFC belt, that goal seems undetainable. You're trying
Yeah,
to chop away at a never-ending tree, but if you have the small goals, small success, you're constantly getting those endorphins of success. You're getting rewards inside there. So I believe it's super important to have these small goals.
exactly. And how was it getting that arm raised, knowing that you are the champion of a division?
It was awesome, man. You know, again, it was one of the goals that I set to reach. Even the small goals, I celebrate them like it was the UFC belt. So for me, it was the biggest goal of the night, get the job done. Thankfully, I was able to get it done in the first round, so I was healthy and ready for the next training camp.
Exactly. And how did you get into this sport?
So I started training jiu-jitsu in 2009, and the, I watched a lot of MMA as a kid. I was 10, 11 years old. The fight with Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar when he fought Brock in the knee bar was super cool to me because Brock was this huge guy
Yeah.
and he just looked superior. As a child, you see the size difference and you think Brock is a superior guy. And Frank Mir was able to tap me with a leg lock, so like, wow, that's amazing. So that's what pushed me to go towards jiu-jitsu.
And do you feel like that is the main, because speaking to quite a few people, that is a fight that they do say brought them in, is just knowing that you can be all this big, tough guy, have all the muscles. However, it is the all-round game that you need to have, because you can just get down
Yeah,
there and get submitted.
yeah, most definitely. And as a kid, I was able to kind of feed that feeling because I was a very active jiu-jitsu competitor, even from 10, 11 years old all the way till just 2 years ago when I stopped competing in jiu-jitsu. I was very active. And as a teenager, I competed against adults, grown men, 25, 30, 35 years old. I was able to get victories over them. So I was able to see like the big picture of jiu-jitsu, why jiu-jitsu worked. And yeah, it's always fed me.
And what's your opinion? Because obviously you have competed in quite a few different jiu-jitsu matches. What's your opinion on doing that while you are still locked into like your Fury contract?
I fight. I have this like mental battle with myself all the time because being an active jiu-jitsu competitor, I still had that feeling that I wanted to compete in jiu-jitsu, but I have to weigh the risk versus reward. I think MMA is going to take me much farther now. The opportunity for life-changing events happens in just a few years with MMA done right. Uh, so I will still compete in jiu-jitsu if the opportunity is there, if the timing is right. If I can't find a fight, I have a hard time finding a fight sometimes, just because of the level of jiu-jitsu. Um, so you guys may see me still pop in a few jiu-jitsu tournaments, super fights, stuff that's going to pay as well.
And how do you make the balance between work and training?
Say that again. I'm sorry, you cut out.
How do you make the balance between work and training?
Um, it's tough. Uh, I just make it happen, man. It's something in my blood. I have a very strong drive. I run a jiu-jitsu school full time on top of training MMA 3 to 4 times a week with my coach out in Houston. And I drive about an hour and 45 minutes one way, 3 to 4 times a week to train with him. Uh, so for me, it's a job. I get it
Yeah,
done. The training MMA, running my gym, it's all a job. So uh, I have no choice but to get it done. That's kind of my mindset. It's what has to be. It's not an option. It's not negotiable.
exactly. Do you feel like running that gym helps you even just develop the techniques even further?
Definitely, man. Yeah, because like to be a coach, you have to have understanding of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So when I go back home, teach my students, like I have to really understand what I'm doing to teach these guys to grow and improve in themselves. So it makes me grow as an athlete, as a coach, as a person.
And I guess with the benefit of your students, they can even have questions where you may not even know the answers, but you go back, you research it, and then you can give
Yeah,
that information back to them.
definitely. Yeah, it's I tell the guys the maths is the lab. I don't have all the answers, but together as a team, I have a really strong team around me. We're able to bounce ideas off each other, and I don't have the answer for sure. We're going to figure it out together.
And do you go into the year having a set amount of fights you're wanting to get done?
Yeah, I think my goal each year has been four. Last year, I was able to do four amateur fights in a 6 month period. It was a very ambitious goal. I was able to get it done. This year, that was my goal as well. I had some like personal business to get done. Just was a busy summer with my gym and family and stuff like that. So this year, it's only going to be three fights. But next year, I would like to go in with a game plan of four for professional fights.
And this time next year, where are you wanting to be standing?
I want to be the guys everybody's talking about, like the top prospects for
Yeah.
the contender series. Maybe not next season, following season, short notice call. I want making them to be having their eyes on me as a prospect coming up.
And how do you envision this fight with Eduardo taking place? Are you looking to try and get this fight to the ground to show off your that strong ground game, or are you just going to stand and trade, or just see where the fight
I
goes?
He wants to grapple, he wants to wrestle, he wants to do both. Well,
Exactly. And have you got a lot of crowd heading to this fight?
I always bring a very heavy crowd of at least 40, 50 people. So we'll have that at least one more time supporting me there here in Houston.
And how much does the crowd actually affect the fights? Because obviously you can just try and drown it out. However, I have seen fights where the home crowd guy might not be doing very well, but then the crowd gets up, supports him, and he makes a comeback.
Yeah. No, there's no other feeling than hearing your team just light up. You hit a nice takedown or you land some big shots and your crowd just go nuts. It's a surreal feeling. It definitely drives that adrenaline and gets that heart rate up, gets that kind of that mindset to, hey, I'm doing well. I need to get this finished. It
Exactly.
feeds those endorphins I was talking about.
Exactly. And how big does sponsorships play in this sport?
Um, for me, I've never, some athletes need the sponsorships to, help them with their camp. I've always been very fortunate to get it done on my own. So the sponsors, when I accept sponsors, is to help them. But of course, they help me a little bit, but I want to help them spread them in the community, put their name on my back to represent.
Exactly. And I know you'll go out there, get that victory, and we'll be speaking ahead of your next big fight. I'll
Definitely.
let you have the final word. Is there anything you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
I just want to thank my coach Drew Tychek, Nico Echeverry, one of my main training partners over at ACS. They play it. Without them, I couldn't do what I'm doing. My team back home, Oranday Jiu Jitsu. Me and my brother, we run. We each have an academy. We run about 400 students. So all the students over there, OBJJ, helping us, helping me, push towards these dreams and these goals. The family that supports me. Thanks to everybody there, sponsors, you guys as well. Without the team I have, it wouldn't be possible.
No, that's was great. Can't wait to see you get that victory.